Osrc News at 7. Ondo State government leads curfew on Ikariakoko. Government sets machinery in motion to avert flooding in Ondo State as rain sets in. Northern Elders Forum cautions political party spokesperson against heating quality. And from the foreign scene, UK economic growth slightly, avoiding recession. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on the news. I am Oyewumi Ayinigbara. The Ondo State Executive Council has resolved to lift the curfew imposed on Ikariakoko. The curfew was put in place a few months ago due to the disturbances in the town. In a statement by the Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Bamidele Ademola Lateju, the Ondo State government, however, said Ikare Central Mosque remains closed until the warring parties bury their differences. According to the statements, the reopening of the mosque is subject to the leadership of the chief imam. Ondo State government has assured residents of adequate measures to safeguard lives and property as the rainy season sets in. Commissioner for Environment Sunday Akinwale, who led a monitoring team to waterways and flash spots in our Ondo State capital ahead rainy season, confirmed that Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has provided necessary tools to guide against flood disaster. Meanwhile, to avoid devastating flooding, residents of Ilaramoki community have been cautioned against dumping refuse into waterways. The warning was given during a channelization exercise of waterways and drainages by Mokin's sons and daughters to avert flooding within the community. Osrc's Omoshiliola Adesoya Ajayi now completes the story.
Following the devastating floods witnessed in many parts of the country in the past year, which led to the death of over 600 people and displaced over 2.4 million across the country, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency had predicted a high possibility of flash floods in some states, including Ondo State. And as part of efforts to avert this within the community, the Egbeomo Ilaramoki embarked on channelization of waterways in some flood-prone areas in the ancient community. Vice President of Egbeomo Ilaramoki, Mr. Daria Wukoya, and others who spoke with Osrc said the move is to shield the people of the community from floods and ensure residents enjoy the rainy season without fear.
Sometimes we experience flooding. Most of the roads are not passable, and some of the buildings and some properties very close to these areas are always being disturbed by flood. So, and you discover that we have been reading the handwriting of the meteorologist that it's likely there will be heavy downpour in this in Nigeria or part of this area.
We discovered that this is giving us problem. Every time when there is rain will just fall over to the major road. And it's part of our duty to make sure that the community is safe from flood.
Also, a community leader, Mr. Fajimi Maike, who said all efforts to make successive governments in the state attend to their yearnings have yielded little or nothing, appealed to the present administration under Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu to support the development strides of Egbeomo Ilaramoki.
I will make a passionate appeal to the government, particularly the government in power. He's a man of when he talk, he doesn't change it. So when you see all these things we are doing, I'm quite sure that you'll be happy to come to the aid of the community.
The engineer in charge of the project, Mr. Ayo Ayodeji, while recounting some of the challenges faced in the course of channelization of the waterways, appealed to residents to stop dumping refuse into the waterways and drainages, as well as the river banks.
It was so cumbersome, but we thank God we were able to surmount all the challenges. So I would just appeal to all inhabitants of this town to stop dumping refuse
on the waterways.
The channelization, which started at St. Andrews area, will be replicated in all flood-prone areas, including St. Peter's area, Ogumoriyele and Isokun areas, all within the community. Some of the residents of the affected areas expressed gratitude to Egbeomo Ilaramokin for the gesture and promised to put up measures to stop residents from dumping refuse into the waterways. Started in 1989, Egbeomo Ilaramokin has been one of the driving forces of development in the community. Omoshiliola Adesoye Ajayi, Osrc News.
And now to the full report on the Ministry of Environment, Waterways, and we told you that Commissioner for Environment, Sunday Akinwalere, who led a monitoring team to waterways and flashpoints in Akure, the Ondo State capital, ahead rainy season, confirmed that Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has provided necessary tools to guard against flood disaster. And now the report by Omoriola Ungbiji.
Early this year, the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, released its 2023 seasonal climate forecast of increased flash flows in some states, including Ondo State. To prevent any unforeseen circumstances, according to Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Bumi Alade, environmental team is acting on the directive of the State Governor, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, to embark on inspection in preparation for possible flood disasters and the corresponding action.
There is a need for us to do on-the-spot assessments of the impact of the rains so far in the state, so that we can have a better appraisal of how it will be, and we can plan towards mitigating the effect on our people.
From Okijo River, which was channeled from Shasha through Nasfat to Obaile Housing Estate, through Ashaye Axis, Edo Lodge to Okejebu, Ade Super flood routes, and Iriakari along Orita Obele community were among areas visited by the team. Residents were praising the present administration for its prompt actions to issues, recounting their challenges, especially during the rainy season.
This thing enlightened my mind though, that we are being reckoned with in the society, because before I thought all these things they have abandoned us to our fate, but as things is going now, I'm happy.
We did not drop anything. It is what the thing carried from far away. So when we wanted to pass, we passed through that bridge. Then it will stop there. Form problems. Every house behind the area will flow up with water.
If there is just rain, like rain for just 30 minutes, we will feel that the water will be flowing. The one flowing from Ilesami down to join these Okicho rivers will just be flowing and cover all these houses here.
So both as a cover line, pay our Kawatum Ballet, Bugu, to Japan, is so Eja, La Visit, like if you are too many, because any can control it. So we won't see a Jama.
Commissioner for Environment, Sunday Akinwalere, while expressing disappointment over the indiscriminate dumping of refuse on waterways in the state, as well as buildings erected along flood routes, said the act is sabotaging government's efforts in flood control. He said adequate measures are already on ground to tackle issues of flood, adding that the quick intervention adopted last year saved the state from major flood disasters.
We have to double up our effort to make sure that minutes of flooding did not occur as the same thing as last year. So we are doing our best to make sure that we prevent this. But then, let me add, if you look at this place, the structures that are being erected around here, residents must be very careful. They must look at the situation, not just when they are putting their structures down. They look at situations that might come 10 years, 20 years after structures have been made. Then they must take cognizance of the fact that development will definitely come. And when it comes with a lot of serious impact. And that is what we are seeing now.
As of now, 3 amphibious excavators are on standby to clear major flood routes across the state. Omoriola Ungbiji, Osrc News.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, has resigned from office. Reports say the minister has submitted his resignation letter to President Muhammadu Buhari. According to reports, Silva has intention to contest for the governorship election in Bayelsa and will participate in the forthcoming APC's primary election that is likely to hold anytime in April. Meanwhile, the State Working Committee SWC of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Benue State has suspended its officials in a Gurov Council word for suspending the party's former national chairman Eyocha Ayu. According to the Southwest in a statement, the World Exco was suspended for 1 month, pending when necessary actions will be taken to restore sanity, harmony, law and order in the party. It stated that the SWC would administer the affairs of the party in the ward during the period, adding that the move was in the party's best interest. The statement directed all the suspended ward members to hand over all documents and other belongings of the party in their possession to the South SWC with immediate effect. The Northern Elders Forum (NEF) has called on political party leaders to restrain spokespersons from using damaging language and exchanges that could eat up the polity. In a statement issued, Director of Publicity and Advocacy Akim Baba Ahmed, the forum expressed concern over rhetorics and exchanges which it said are raising tension and fueling negative dispositions that threaten inter-community relations in the country. The forum welcomed the decision of contestants who felt the elections had not met legal thresholds of acceptability to seek adjudication over its credibility and settle other constitutional issues related to it. It appealed to Nigerians to allow the judiciary to undertake its warriors' responsibility in a calm and peaceful atmosphere. You're still watching Osrc News at 7. After the break, we'll bring you more stories. Please stay. Glad to know you're still there. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook, Osrc TV and Osrc Undo, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel Osrc TV Undo. The need for women to embrace information and communications technology and life-enhancing skills to develop themselves has been stressed. Wife of Ondo State Governor Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu made this clear during the grand finale of 2023 International Women's Day held in Akure, Ondo State capital. Government House correspondent Omoriola Ongbeji reports that the theme for the 2023 International Women's Day is Digital All, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality.
The month of March every year has been embraced by women to celebrate themselves, bringing attention to issues such as gender inequality, lack of reproductive rights, violence and abuse against women in society. In Ondo State, the celebration was brought to a close with fanfare as the wife of Ondo State Governor, Mrs. Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu, led other women across the state to the event ground.
International Women's Day.
In her message, Mrs. Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu appreciated the support of Ondo State government towards the success of UNCSW 67 conference, which according to her will attract more developmental projects into the state. The governor's wife confirmed that ladies in Ondo State are now competing favorably with their counterparts across the globe through her various innovations, which include Be More Empowered initiatives, Solayo, Fowoso, Widows Empowerment, among others.
And the UN conference is about digital. We said everybody must be included, nobody should be left out. In digital skills, literacy, and I'm glad that I don't have to do wahala talking about it. All the delegates, they saw at the UN that Ondo State is way ahead.
She called on women to embrace information and communications technology and other life-enhancing skills to occupy their space in the global market.
Talk about the inequality that exists in our society.
her address, Ondo State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Adebumi Oshadaun, said the essence of the celebration is to remind women of their worth and importance in nation building, hence the need to make themselves available for any task.
Women should be involved in good management, in modern practices at household and communities, and leverage or support pro-environmental behaviors.
Briefing the gathering on the achievements of the wife of the governor and the state government, Acting Permanent Secretary, Ondo State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, Tokwe Lebile, confirmed that 7 officials from Ondo State were sponsored for this year's International Women's Day program in United States, UN CSW 67.
Her Excellency has seen well ahead into the future and has taken the bold step to equip our girls technologically, digitally, morally, and with other needed support required for them to thrive in the society with a view to bridging the gender gap. She has seen the vision and has keyed into it long before the global community woke up to take up the challenge.
At a panel session for attendees, UNCSW 67, Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Bamidele Ademola Olateju, was a participant.
The future of work is digital. We should think beyond the devices we are holding and see how we can leverage digital technology to go forward.
The 2023 International Women's Day celebration has come again. Women in Ondo State are taking the bull by the horn by taking advantage of various programs of the governor's wife for self-development. Omoriola Humbiji, Osrc News.
An Ondo State Magistrate Court sitting in Akure has sentenced 17 persons to 5 years imprisonment on 2-count charge bordering on illegal possession of firearms and conspiracy to commit felony. The conviction followed the arrest by the Ondo State Security Network Amotekun in November 2021. Osrc Saeed Aribisala has details.
After a hot chase from Akure to Ondo town, operatives of Ondo State Security Network Agency Amotekun in November 2021 intercepted a bus laden with weapons, including guns and bullets. While occupants of the bus disembarked and fled into a gathering of people, the security agents conducted a search which resulted in their arrest. More than 1.5 years since the trial began, Judgment Day is here at the Ondo State Magistrate Court. Delivering the judgment, Magistrate Damilola Shekoni noted that the decision of the 11th and 13th defendant, Aruna Tukur and Abubakar Aliu, both driver and conductor, to attempt a 500 naira bribe on Amotekun operatives' failure to obey a stop and search order and subsequent fleeing is a prima facie evidence of guilt. Magistrate Damilola Shekoni, who found the 2 defendants guilty of count 2, bordering on illegal possession of firearms, sentenced them to 4 years imprisonment. The duo, alongside 15 others identified as passengers on the bus, were convicted to 5 years imprisonment on count charge 1 for conspiracy to commit felony. For count 3 on wandering, the magistrate discharged and acquitted all the defendants. While the prosecuting counsel welcomed the judgment, counsel to the defendants, Paul Atta and Ruth G. Emmanuel, said the judgment will be studied for further action.
It has been a very long time since 2021. The defendant were initially charged with 5-count charge, but upon the strength of legal advice issued by the Office of Ondo State Minister of Justice, the Attorney General of Ondo State, the charges were reduced to 3-count charges. They could not explain for how they got the gun into the vehicle, though they admitted being that the knives that were found in the vehicle was for them to be delivered to somebody in Lagos. They denied the ownership or the knowledge of the gun in the vehicle. However, according to the judge, according to evidence and exhibits that presented before the court during the trial, the court agrees that yes, the 11th and 13th defendants had reason to know or actually knew that there was a dangerous weapon in the vehicle at the first time. That's why they refused to stop, and they were convicted accordingly.
I represent the 11th and 13th defendant in this matter. We will certainly have to appeal that judgment because, to my best understanding, my lord, it falls short of the expectations of the law, and I strongly feel that this will be overturned when we go to the High Court. For me, for all intent and purposes, the evaluation was not properly done. But that is my opinion, and that is the position of the court. But we'll review our position, and we're heading straight to the appeal court, and that will be sorted out.
There were 18 defendants, but one of the defendants was set free by the Honorable Chief Judge during the prison visit. So the people that are now left is 17 out of the 18. In the court's wisdom, the court found that the defendants are guilty, and will take it as a position of the court. At least this is the court of first instance.
According to the judgment, the accused persons are to serve the terms of the sentence concurrently, counting from the date of their first incarceration in November 2021. Sahid Arabisala, OSRC News.
And still on crime, following the expiration of 72-hour ultimatum given to famous singer Abibu Kikiola, commonly called Portable, to turn himself in, the Ogun State Police Command has arrested the singer for refusing to honor the invitation. Early on Tuesday, 2 videos of the musician raining curses and rough handling some men of the Nigerian police surfaced on the internet. The police who condemned the singer's action also threatened to prosecute him. In the 2 videos, Portable claimed that an internet fraudster had brought the police to his bar to arrest staff members for no reason, but the police noted that it acted on a petition. Mr. Oyeyemi further said the Zazu crooner was arrested after refusing 5 invitations. The singer, according to police, will remain in police custody till Monday, when he will be charged to court. In the bid to strengthen public confidence in the media, the Nigerian media will on Monday inaugurate a 9-member board of the National Media Complaints Commission, NMCC, otherwise known as the National Ombudsman. Members of the commission are drawn from the media, the bar, the academia, and civil society. A statement by Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPMAN, President Kabiru Yusuf, the inauguration is a major step by the industry to strengthen public confidence in the media through prompt resolutions of issues bordering on ethical breaches in media content. The statement said the Commission will serve as an independent forum for resolving complaints about the press quickly, fairly, and free of charge, maintaining high standards of Nigerian journalism and journalistic ethics, and defend the freedom of the press and the rights of the people to know. In Taraba State, the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU in the state's chapter has declared a total comprehensive and indefinite strike action. This follows permission by the ASU National to State branch to embark on the strike action to press home its demands and the state government's rebuttal of claims that it does not owe workers' salaries. Arising from a Congress meeting, the union insists that the rationale behind their action is hinged on government's failure to pay earned academic allowances, promotion arrears, fractional payment of salaries to staff, as well as unsettled staff pension and gratuity scheme. Reacting to the strike action, the state government, through the Commissioner for Tertiary Education, Edward Baraya, in a telephone interview, said the union has not communicated their action to the state government. And now to the foreign scene. A revised data has showed that the UK economy performed slightly better than thought in the final quarter of last year, but analysts have warned of recession risks as inflation remains sky high. The Office for National Statistics, ONS, said the economy grew 0.1% in the October to December period after an initial estimate showing flag outputs. Either way, the UK narrowly avoided falling into recession at the end of 2022 despite a cost of living crisis. Later, data showed telecommunications, constructions, and manufacturing all fared better than initially thought, adding that households saved more in the last quarter, with finances boosted by government support to pay sky-high energy bills. And still on the foreign scene, Donald Trump has become the first former United States president to face criminal persecution, but the charges have not been made public. Charges in New York comes after a year-long investigation into a payment made by Trump's personal lawyer to porn star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Trump, who is seeking the White House again in 2024, calls the indictment political persecution. Odwayo Sawyer reports.
Adult film star Stormy Daniels and her alleged sexual encounter with Donald Trump is at the center of the criminal case against the former president after she threatened to go public about the affair in the final days of Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Trump's then fixer Michael Cohen paid her $130,000 to keep quiet. Cohen, who testified before the grand jury, has said he made the payments at Trump's direction and in 2018 pleaded guilty to violating campaign finance laws, for which he served time in prison.
It's not revenge, right? What this is about accountability. I don't want to see anyone, including Donald Trump, indicted, prosecuted, convicted, incarcerated, simply because I fundamentally disagree with them. This is all about accountability. He needs to be held accountable for his dirty deeds.
The former president has always denied the affair. He also initially denied any knowledge of the payment, but now says it took place as a legitimate legal expense.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels?
Under New York law, it is the falsification of business records, not the payment itself. That would be Trump's crime, a misdemeanor. And only if prosecutors can prove he made the payment and falsified records specifically to hide the affairs from voters or the IRS. Would it be a felony or more serious crime that could come with jail time?
The falsification of records for the purpose of committing tax evasion would be the additional specific crime to elevate falsification of business records from a misdemeanor to a felony. So he needs something like that.
Complicating any prosecution, Cohen's former legal advisor, a Trump ally, told the grand jury Cohen couldn't be trusted.
Listen, if they want to go after Donald Trump and they have solid evidence, so be it. But Michael Cohen is far from solid evidence.
President Trump has described this case as a witch hunt, but it is far from the only criminal investigation he is facing. In Georgia, prosecutors are looking into his alleged attempts to overturn Joe Biden's victory in the state in 2020, and several government bodies are investigating his alleged role in the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. The case marks the first time in history that a U.S. president has faced criminal charges. Odwayo Sawyer, Osrc News.
And with our reports from the foreign scene, we conclude the news tonight. But before we go, a quick look at the top stories. We told you in the news that the Ondo State government has lifted a curfew placed on Ikari-Akoko following a protracted crisis. A statement by the Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Bamidele Ademola Olateju, said the government still placed the Ikari Central Mosque under lock and key until the warring parties bury their differences. Following warnings of heavy rainfall and flash floods this year, the present administration in Ondo State has set machinery in motion to avert disaster as the rains sets in. The Northern Elders Forum has cautioned political party spokespersons against eating polity through their 8 speeches. And from the foreign scene, we informed you that the United Kingdom economy has recorded a slight growth, thereby avoiding recession. And that's the news tonight. Many thanks for watching. Good evening.